A very warm welcome to you wherever it is you're tuned in from, Kenya, East Africa, and around the world. Welcome. This is season 2 of TECHOVER. We've had a beautiful 13 episodes run in season 1, and today we are starting again with Women in Tech. I will be talking to the Data Commissioner, Immaculate Kasait. My good name is Brian Jojotieno, NTV's in-house techie. We have a lot lined up for you, but first off, as always, let's get the tech news of the week and then we talk about data protection. This week we focus on the popularity of select social media applications in Kenya. WhatsApp is the most preferred digital medium by Kenyans, closely followed by Facebook and YouTube, a new report has revealed. The report by Media Council of Kenya (MCK) on the state of media in the country over the past year established that TikTok registered a double increase in the number of users compared to a year ago when only 7% of Kenyans used the platform. However, WhatsApp, Facebook, and YouTube maintained their positions as the leading digital and social media platforms throughout 2021, 2022, and last year. The report also found that 7 in every 10 Kenyans think that the advancement of artificial intelligence (AI) needs to be regulated. Interestingly, 40% said they would allow their faces to be created by a software. The report equally says only 22% of the respondents reported that they are aware of the use of AI in media. The awareness is skewed towards the youth. Of those who are aware about the use of AI, 61% have concerns about it. While many Kenyans often use smartphones to access social media, curiously, the report established that Kenyans do not like to consume religious content on social media. No respondent said they would consume religious content, whether sermons or live services, on social media. On the level of trust in the media, the report established that radio recorded the highest level of trust at 33%, closely followed by television at 29%. A little emphasis on TikTok though. The app owned by Chinese company ByteDance has seen sharp growth in the country despite setbacks that have threatened its survival. From banning threats in Kenya due to content moderation hitches and heavy American regulation to divest, TikTok's astronomical growth in Kenya as a video sharing platform has portrayed sharp resilience. For instance, in the US, President Joe Biden had signed into law a bill that would see the platform banned from the country unless it is sold within a year. The signing of the bill last week was the culmination of claims that the Chinese-owned platform shares user data with Beijing for surveillance. The US move came at a time when Kenya has joined a growing list of nations seeking to regulate TikTok in an attempt to combat false information, fraud, as well as distribution of sexual content. The video sharing platform unveiled new community guidelines in a bid to curb the spread of hate speech and misinformation on the app. The policy updates, which take effect this month, May, will see creators who repeatedly post content that goes against the set standards temporarily suspended from recommendations in the FYP feed, meaning that the account and the content will be harder to find in search. The platform, however, says owners of accounts restricted in this manner will be notified and will be accorded a chance to appeal. In the new guidelines, likewise, a creator who violates the policy for the first time will receive a warning strike and will be notified about which rule they have broken and how they can appeal if they believe a mistake has actually been made. The warning strike does not count towards an account strike tally, but any future violations will. Zero tolerance policy, for example, incitement to violence, aren't eligible for these reminders. Accounts will immediately be banned, TikTok said. The platform has also rolled out a new feature dubbed Account Check, which will allow creators to check their account status and audit their last 30 posts to ascertain that they are in good standing with the app's standards. Account Check will also include information about whether the access to certain features like comments or direct messaging has been restricted due to violations. Creators will also be able to see whether their content has been removed for breaking TikTok rules or has been restricted from reaching the FYP feed. And that's our tech news of the week. Very well. Now you are up to speed with what's been happening in the tech world. Time now for that conversation with the official government official who is mandated with protecting your data from betting companies, from insurance companies, third-party sales, and so much more. She'll be telling us why data protection is important and so much more. Immaculate Kasai, thank you so much for making time for us on the show.
Thank you, Brian.
Very well. Your office is fairly new, was not there perhaps 5 or so years ago, and it's coming in at a point where it's very, very important. Talk to us about how you came into being. By you, I mean the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner.
It goes back to a conversation in Rwanda about the digital economy blueprint. And during that conversation, when people are coming out with a blueprint that would be of digital, they asked, when you looked at data, it was a cross-cutting issue. At that point in time, there was a lot of conversation around GDPR, or general regulations on data protection from Europe. And it was felt then the importance of then having a framework that is going to then secure our space in as far as data protection is concerned. But going fast, but beyond that, I think the world has suddenly begun realizing that we are in an internet space that was totally unregulated. So we are in what we would otherwise call capitalist surveillance, that data gets commercial, it's become the new oil. So if you're in that space and there's no one putting guardrails, then you can actually we then begin to treat people like commodities. So the issue around data protection is to put guardrails and say, hey, even though you're innovating, hey, even though you're doing a gig, even though you're doing an Uber, even though you're doing, all those services, there must be rules to the game. You can't just it can't be a free-for-all or a free-for-all. Yeah. So that is what pushed Kenya. But I often say that, interestingly, this office became an important component when there was conversation around Huduma number then. Because there was a push by civil society to ask, hey, how can we trust government to hold all this data, and we don't have an office of the data commissioner? So this office was born as a need to actually then provide that safeguards in as far as data protection is concerned.
Great. And in the same spirit of reaching people with the services, you have sort of done some sort of devolution. We are seeing the ODPCs opening up in so many other regions in the country. How is that shaping up? It's
become practice in the country in the context of devolution after the 2010 constitution to be nearer to the people. And part of us going out to the regions, we're in Mombasa, we're in Kisumu, we're in Nakuru. We also have offices in Nyeri, in the Huduma Secretariat. We have one in Eldoret, and we also have one in Garissa. It's our hope to even expand more to almost 13 regions in the next 5 years. And the idea is people should be able to find us, engage us, and give us feedback, and we're also able to file complaints and be nearer as possible. Because really, the era of expecting people to travel all the way to Nairobi when it comes to seeking their services, it would not be fair for somebody, a young Jama who is doing a gig somewhere in the village, especially in this era where His Excellency has launched the Wi-Fi, the Jitume within the ministry, Jitume, so that you're able to create work. Imagine if you have an issue with data protection, you have to travel all the way to Nairobi. It's not necessary. That is why we are devolving to also assist the government in the digital economy to help in terms of providing those guardrails.
I have been fortunate enough to follow your budgets since inception, and I've seen quite an improvement, but we are not there yet because of the demand and the need to protect as much data as possible because, hey, population keeps growing. There are a lot of other companies that are setting up. Third-party operators are also out looking for this data. How do you assess the evolution of your budgetary allocation from the national government?
Of course, we have seen, we can't complain because given the physical space that has been there in terms of budget, we have really enjoyed goodwill from both Parliament and National Treasury to operationalize this office. It's been a journey, and we really do not take it for granted. I think it's the government realizing the importance of data protection in the digital economy, and therefore the need to support this office so that even as we invest, as investors come to the country, they know that there is a data protection regulatory framework. And I'll say this, Brian, because many times a young person will ask, sasa hii story ya data ni so complex. Nashinda mkiongea data, ama ni data ile ya bundles. Yeah. Actually, people used to ask us, hii ni data ya bundles. Naambia hapana, hii si data ya bundles. Si story ya kupiga simu hapana. Hii data, wacha nikushow. Ni kama wewe ukiwa kijana ama mrembo fulani, kila siku kienda kwa restaurant, si wewe upiga simu, alafu unashow, mimi leo na kama, alafu hao watu wanaweka simu yako, wanaweka majina zako. Saa zingine unapata ma messages na haikufurahishi kwa sababu wewe ukuambiwa kutumia ma message. Sasa sisi tuko washikadau, tukiangalia washikadau wengine, sisi tuko katika status ya washikadau ambao wataambia watu, wacha hii historia kutumia watu ma messages ambao hawataki. Sasa hiyo ndio space tuko ya kuhakikisha si mtu anakurushia mafoto zako kila mahali, lakini wengine wanasema huyu data commissioner amatuwekea ma guardrails mingi hata hatuwezi innovate. ama startup bana. Hii maneno wananiambia compliance, nasema hapana.
Let's assess now the African situation, especially with data protection and privacy regulation. How are we working interchangeably to ensure that we have our own set rules?
I would say from an African perspective, data protection is very new. Okay. And therefore we really must give people time and also appreciation. The first step that many African countries, over 30, have done is to actually put in place Sharia. They have a law on data protection in whatever form or shape. And that is a first step, because this conversation were not happening. And by the way, from an African perspective, as we don't document, where are you asking me about photos, history? Could you know how we like sharing? We like sharing our past and our children. You get many likes. Kuonyesha wasee kule mtoto wako alikuwa ama anaenda shule wapi. So the fact that we are beginning to be conscious that we don't just share, and this information we need to protect, and it's an issue about right to privacy. It's a right step in the right direction. So from an African perspective, we are not there, because one of the challenges we have and we'll be discussing in this conference is that African countries have different data protection frameworks. And you see, if you're a startup, and I like giving an example here, we pray that when you're a startup, and even some of the major tourist companies we have, they wanted to expand to a country like Congo, DRC, or they wanted to expand to West Africa. And even then they have to, because I see a lot of, they can expand to those spaces. What it means that they are collecting a lot of information on individuals. It means that if there is no enough safeguards in another African country, you risk the information of your customers. So the reason about collaborating with other African countries is so that we come to an agreement in terms of data, harmonize data protection, see how we protect each other, and how we can set the agenda as Africa as far as the digital space is concerned.
Great. Talk to us about NADPA, this conference that's coming to Nairobi. NADPA, it's pretty exciting for us as Kenya, because imagine in under 5 years we get to hold the NADPA, Network for African Data Protection Authority conference and AGM. And we really don't take it for granted. We pitched last year, they found it wise to hold it here. We really thank the NADPA partners for voting us in. We'll have over 23 countries, presidents from 23 countries, and also others with observer status. The idea is for us, the entire of Africa Data Protection Authority, to come and speak about this issue around data protection. It's the opportunity to appreciate, what is this we hear about data flows? Data flows in a sound kama maji from one side. Maji in a flow. Anyway, taking that as an analogy, ni ukweli, it's how can we move information from another country to another without restrictions. Just like today, when you're in East Africa, when with a Kenyan ID, you can go to Uganda, you can go to Kenya, you can go to Rwanda, you can go to Burundi. It's the same thing for data. We want data to flow amongst this country freely. And we also want to pitch Kenya as a place where we have set the framework, we have the necessary cloud options. We have many tech companies here which are setting up cloud and also data centers. Yeah. And we want to encourage, we want to show Kenya actually is ready for that kind of business, because when it comes to e-commerce,
storage of data is critical. We also want to discuss some of the concerning issues that we hear about children and their security, safety in the terms of the internet, and also AI, artificial intelligence. Because you see, it's a reality that we as African countries must really be cautious, even though it is not just the role of data protection authorities, but we must be conscious in terms of holding accountable data controllers and data processors in terms of age verification. Yeah. How are they verifying who is this accessing the internet? Because they must put those guardrails so that we protect our children. So those are some of the issues, and of course harmonization of the data protection laws in Africa. So there's an opportunity to network, to share experiences, because the truth of the matter is the space is out there in the internet. Everyone, every single Kenyan, we call them natives, we call them ICT natives or computer. I mean, Brian, your age, everybody has a gadget, everybody's excited, a smartphone. So we spend a lot of time. In fact, if you check, probably in 24 hours, you spend 15 and sleep 3. I don't know what you people do online. But so with all that, kama unakaa hapo, you need to feel you're safe. Yeah. And that is where we are here, to hold accountable institutions that actually go beyond, who are not using information the way they're supposed to.
Great. I see a lot of big tech companies across borders. They'd rather pay the fines to data breach and not comply with the regulations they are set by Europe. There's a joke that goes around that America innovates, China replicates, and Europe regulates. So there's been an interesting conversation around that. But how do you assess that phenomenon?
That should tell you in terms of the attraction, how much important data is. Yeah. And even a bigger challenge, where are we in Africa? Yeah. Because we need to set our own agenda in this space so that we also decide our own platforms, our own rules, our own grill, our own guardrails. Yeah, even as we collaborate, where are we? Where are we as Africa?
Great. Data is big, presenting a lot of opportunities for people. Please talk to the young Kenyans out there on what data protection and data generally as a value chain has for them in the tech world.
Let me say this: setting Kenya as one of the trailblazers in terms of data protection, we are sending a statement to the world that we care. If there are no rules here, this could be like what I would say piracy in the high seas, where there are no rules. Yeah. But now if there are rules, it means when you invest in this economy, it means that the data for your customers is safe. Or the regulator is watching out to make sure that that information is safe and they're asking the right questions. So having here that set means we are going. Let me give an example in terms of gigs. One of the biggest gigs being spoken about, and His Excellency has spoken about it in our CS and our PS, is BPOs, business process outsourcing. Business process outsourcing, which is out there and has completely redefined how we do our labor. People work for 6 hours, they are online, they are doing artificial intelligence. With a possibility of from the statistics here, it's over 17 billion economy, US dollars, possibility of in artificial intelligence. Those are jobs waiting. Those are jobs waiting. But a company based in Europe will hesitate to invest here because there is no adequacy decision between Kenya and Europe. But if Kenya gets into an adequacy with Europe, it helps in terms of data flow. So what they are saying, the security guarantees you get in Ireland are the same ones you get in Kenya. So with that kind of collaboration and what we're talking about data flows and adequacy, which we are pursuing, it means we'll have more investors coming here to do business outsourcing. We'll move away just from call centers because there are many companies in Kenya who run call centers here. We'll have more business process outsourcing. Those are jobs. The other one is issues around data protection. It was not an issue. The other day we partnered with MasterCard and the room was oversubscribed. We had 120 data protection officers. It's a new area. It's a community. It didn't exist. Computer science was seen as just people behind the scenes. But now we are looking at data analytics as something big. So there are new job opportunities in this space of data protection, whether it is in audit, whether it is in training. And then once you open, there's a bunch of possibilities out there. Yes. Actually, I'll say it's a blue ocean. Let me put it that way from a strategy perspective.
Great. This episode has per every episode of TECHOVER in a month is dedicated to women in tech, and we're trying to get as many ladies as possible to take up STEM courses: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. What do you tell the young lady watching you out there today? You as a woman in tech, as in regulation, in government, the women feel this is a man's job, or that is only a reserve for men. Talk to them about technology.
I want to speak to the young girl in tech. The time is ripe for this space. Many years ago, we all used to compare in doctors, in lawyers, and there were fewer women now. Even in journalism, we are beginning to see a ratio of 50 to 50. Yeah. There is no reason why that you cannot explore an opportunity in tech. What a man can do, I'm seeing and laughing. Women can do better. So, I mean, we are here to hold your hands, ask questions. Yeah. I'm quite interested in supporting where we can in terms of just getting young people. Konza, I know, is very particular on issues around women in tech. There's nothing that stops you. There is a sea of possibility out there. Just go out, do it. You can do it. And there are many universities offering that opportunity now. And even more better, there is many online free courses. Sure. On analytics, anything you want, it's out there. Just try it. You like it, go for it.
Great. Immaculate Kasait, Data Protection Officer, thank you so much for speaking to us. We've been speaking to the Data Commissioner, Immaculate Kasait. Please watch out for NPA Conference and see you there, because tech must live forever. Time now for us to take a short break. On the other side of the show, we have Startup of the Week and the Tech Tip of the Week, and then we'll just end at that point. You're watching TECHOVER, don't touch that dial. Welcome back to TECHOVER, the show that discusses all things technology. Time now to know who our innovator this week is. Here then is Startup of the Week. The advancement of technology and demand for skills to match the available opportunities has a lot of young people considering careers in tech. So much so that coding and other software engineering skills have become democratized to accommodate open and distance learning. While self-taught skills like coding continue to entice many, learning speeds are not the same and capabilities are equally different. The advent of artificial intelligence has young Kenyans innovating around this. One such Kenyan is Felix Waweru. He is the founder of CodeFundi, a platform that leverages AI to enable first-time coders to produce websites, softwares, and other tech-based solutions. By simply feeding the AI system a prompt, then it develops it for you. His inspiration came from studying tech and working with techies and startups to automate some development and production processes.
I ended up going to Strathmore University, where I pursued a Bachelor of Science in Informatics. And during my time there, I learned a lot about coding, a lot about software development, and eventually I also learned a lot about AI research. After this, I worked as a software engineer for a few years. During this time, I worked in various industries, ranging all the way from finance to healthcare. And I also got the opportunity to work very closely with multiple startups, helping founders scale their idea and put the idea to paper. During this period is when I really started loving coding and loving the software development process. And I also got the opportunity to learn a lot more about AI. One major thing that I noticed during my time working as a software engineer is that many software developers and many businesses were transitioning from manually writing their own code to automating the coding process. So during this time, I decided to start CodeFundi. I discovered that a lot of software developers were transitioning from manually writing their code to using AI to help them write their code. And this was thanks to the advancements in generative AI.
With less than a year in the game, CodeFundi has already a footprint in 30 countries with numerous subscribers in 62 cities globally that support its core business model. The automation of production of websites and other web-based products has made it easy for beginners in coding to create minimum viable products that can be deployed as solutions.
With CodeFundi, we try and make things as easy as possible. We also understand that software development is a challenging process and can be very difficult, especially for beginners. So with CodeFundi, all you have to do is go to our website, download CodeFundi on your computer. From there, you just open up your code editor, and CodeFundi is available for you to use. We've made it very simple to use, so all you have to do is just type your question into a search box, send it to CodeFundi, and within a few seconds, we send back a response with the answers that you're looking for. Something very unique that we've noticed with AI, particularly AI tools for software developers, is that coders are always looking for the next best thing to help them code faster and deliver their services faster. And through CodeFundi, they are able to automate the challenging aspects of their code writing process. So with CodeFundi, you can do everything from explain code that you don't understand, automatically detect and resolve technical issues in your code, and even write new code just by describing what you want. And from what we've seen, this has helped coders deliver their code faster.
And there lies the other concern in human resource world. So does this AI product threaten the existence of software engineers?
At CodeFundi, one of our biggest beliefs is that AI shouldn't be a tool to be used to replace humans, but rather it should be used to augment and improve the developer experience. And so at CodeFundi, we ensure that even though we are building AI systems that can automatically write your code and fix your code, at the end of the day, we are building it for developers and businesses. And so all the information you pass, all the code that you write using CodeFundi is totally in the developer's hands. And we try and ensure that this is a tool that helps developers write better code faster and not replace them in the long term.
In the spirit of Data Privacy Week and data protection as a whole, CodeFundi has taken key initiatives to ensure safety of users as AI remains largely unregulated in the global south.
At CodeFundi, we prioritize security. We understand that as a developer or as a business, your code is one of the most important things that you're either working on or that you own. And so for us to ensure security, we've taken a lot of steps to ensure that not only the data that you, or the code that you send to CodeFundi is secure, but also the processes that you use to interact with our services are totally secure. So for one, we are GDPR compliant, meaning that all our data is totally secure. We've also applied for the GDPR licensing, meaning that our servers have been approved and reviewed. And so all of our information is totally secure. Secondly, we don't use any of the customer information to train our models. And this is because we understand how sensitive your code is and how secure your information needs to be. And because of this, we don't use any of the user data for training. However, what we do is we ensure that our AI model is built for software developers, and internally we have our own processes of ensuring that the service is as advanced as possible, while at the same time maintaining the security of the user data.
Statistics prove tech continues to interest many young people who hope to pivot into tech-related careers. CodeFundi hopes to give the soft launch to beginners as it eases the onboarding and production process, enabling massive incubation of ideas and breeding of tech solutions. And that's our startup of the week. And man, even in season 2, Kenyans keep amazing me with what they come up with in startup of the week. Time now for tech tip, and then we'll just close the show at that point.
Hi guys, and once again, welcome to this week's tech tip of the week. Today we shall go over how you can save storage on your computer. So the first thing you want to do is go to your settings, then go to system. Under system, scroll down till you see storage. Right here you'll see the different things that are occupying your storage. You can start by going over the install apps and uninstall any app that you do not use and is taking up storage. The next thing is going to temporary files. Then select Windows Update Cleanup, and this usually takes up a lot of space. Then also select Recycle Bin. Then at the top, click Remove Files, and these are saved 13 GB so far. And lastly, go back and under Storage Management, you'll see Storage Sense. Make sure that you turn this on, and this will automatically free up space and delete temporary files. That's it for this week. See you in the next one.
Very well. I guess that's a fair point to end it at. Now you know why data protection is important. We've spoken to the regulator herself and what she's doing in this market and in Africa. you know about that upcoming conference, please watch out for it. You're aware of what's happening in the tech world in Startup of the Week, and we've also given you a tech tip so that you remain tech savvy. Time now to leave it at that. Brian Jojotian is my name. See you on the next episode, and may tech live forever.